Hey there, this is Seth Schaefer from Team Just Cause Robotics, and in today's video, we're going to talk about how my 3-pound Beetleweight combat robot Division performed at the latest Norwalk Havoc event. For each fight, I'll introduce my opponent, talk about our history if we have any, what my strategy was going into the fight, and after that, I'll show the fight as it appeared on stream. Then, I'll commentate over the replay from my own camera angles, show some slow-mo, and discuss how the fight went. Then, we'll talk about the damage and repairs from both sides. To tell you all about Division, I released a full overview video a couple weeks back, which I'll link below, discussing every detail about the robot and the changes I've made to it since the last tournament in May. So this video can get right into the action. If you already know about NHRL, skip ahead to the first fight timestamp. If you're new here and know nothing about it, they have their own awesome YouTube channel which you should totally check out. Take a look at their website and wiki, linked in the description below. You can see all of their rules and how you can enter and compete there yourself. The event is hosted in Norwalk, Connecticut, and has an amazing live stream. They hold competitions every 6 to 8 weeks for the most part in several weight classes, from 3 pounds up to 30 pounds. It's super easy to sign up, with events every couple months, and there's a $1,000 cash prize for the winner in each weight class. Spectators are starting to be allowed for $10 at the door. This time, there was a gigantic field of competitors, as over 110 3-pound Beetleweight robots came to compete, and the event routinely draws the best fighting robots from across the United States, and even a few from beyond our borders. The fight rules are pretty simple. Every fight is 3-minute battle to the death. If one robot's immobilized for a 10-second countout, they lose. And if the full time expires with both bots mobile, a panel of 3 judges decide the outcome based on damage, control, and aggression. First up, we have Honeycomb. When I found out this bot was going to be my first opponent, I found a YouTube video of it fighting at another competition where it did quite well. This bot's Achilles heel glow was clearly its wheels, which in that competition were made of acrylic. In the comments of that video, they said the wheels would be changed to Lexan, but honestly that's still not an amazing improvement. I expected that a single good hit on a wheel would do serious damage. Let's see how this fight went.
7.
Winners bracket
6,
round 2, Honeycomb
5,
versus Division.
3, 2, 1.
Fight, robots, fight.
Division from Seth Schaefer, one of the most popular robots here.
Not a position he wants to be in.
Big kind of Deep 6-esque blade on that. Against Honeycomb, which has multiple teeth on that drum spinner. And they are really kind of sending Seth into
He's still going, but it looks like his primary weapon might be skewed a bit, a little bend. He's got 4 sets of teeth on that drum. It's pretty menacing right now. He's got Division upside down, boxed in a corner. Not where he wants to be.
It looks like Seth is having trouble self-righting using his weapon, and the referee is calling for motion. Division, can you show motion?
Tap out.
All right.
Oh,
All right.
It's a tap out. All right, it's a tap out, Honeycomb. Time to turn off your weapon. All right, fantastic.
Wow.
So
Wow.
Honeycomb continues to live on in the winner's bracket, while Seth Schaefer and Division gets kicked down into the loser's bracket. Now, one of the cool things that I saw recently is that Seth has begun selling his own robot kits. Now, you'll know Seth Schaefer from his really popular line of YouTube build videos.
Yep.
And he competed on Bloodsport last season and helped produce a lot of their build videos. And yeah, just an absolutely fantastic YouTube content creator, Battlebots builder, obviously here, Norwalk Havoc competitor, and we're going to see him again in the loser's bracket.
Definitely one of those builders that makes the sport accessible for everyone.
So keeping up with now a 4-time tradition of losing my first fight here at Norwalk Havoc events, for whatever reason, I had a loose solder joint on my weapon speed controller that made it so that my weapon was not spinning up consistently. And after the first couple hits, somehow the signal wire for my, right drive speed controller got sucked into the right drive motor and got severed so that I lost my right side of drive as well, meaning I basically had no way to counter anything that the other bot was doing to me, and I also didn't really have an answer to to his attacks with my own weapon, since that wasn't working either. So all it took was one flip, and without my weapon working, I can't self-right, so that was the fight.
My name's Ray Lopez, I'm with Team Bloomington Sting, and this is my bot, Honeycomb.
Alright, so what was your strategy going into the fight, and how do you think that it worked?
So, the first thing I noticed when I was scouting your bot was that your center forks are really high up, and since they're so high up, if I attack at any angle, I'm able to easily get underneath your forks. So in any collision that's not just head on, I think I just win. And I kind of fundamentally tried to abuse that fact. My initial strategy was to come in and 45 you and get under those like front forks. And it kind of worked. You got tipped over, and I was just able to keep pressure on.
Yeah, I don't know why my bot refused to just get back up right after I was flipped, and there wasn't really much I could do. Like, the only thing I really did to your bot was like flipping these belts, it seemed like. I don't see really that many nicks or scratches anywhere else, frankly.
Yeah, you like nicked my weapon pulley. Yeah.
Not enough, it seems.
Yeah, no.
Alright. But yeah, I mean, that was a pretty good fight. I just wasn't working. And after my power switch got killed, like, I just had no consistent weapon power, and there was nothing I could really do. Alright, so it looks like this black wire broke loose of the speed controller, which is the same exact issue that I found when I was testing, and I thought I fixed it, but I guess I soldered it badly. So, I guess I have to do that again. Alright, it is now 2:05, and I've already got everything working again. Thanks to Ian for trading me a Switch in response for a AIO PCB, so that was very kind of him. So I didn't have a spare FigureTech Switch. I also countersunk and replaced these screws with flatheads so they shouldn't get hit as easily, and I had to resolder this joint here, which is now very big, but I used a bunch of flux to make it so it hopefully stays, and I'll have to cable manage the wires to this motor's speed controller better. Next, we have BX11B. This is built by a frequent return competitor, Steve Campbell, who has a number of bots at this competition. However, BX11B is his longest running bot, first appearing in January of 2020. BX11B is a custom-designed FingerTech beater bar bot with a 1-pound mini-bot, Lil Giant, that's a Viper kit, with long UHMW angled sides stuck onto it. Norwalk allows multi-bots a 1-pound weight bonus, so BX11B itself is still 3 pounds. Despite failing against the many-toothed drum of Honeycomb, my hinged front forks were designed specifically to counter this type of bot. Let's see how they worked out.
On over to Cage 1, we've got Seth Schaefer and Division, and BX11B from Steve Campbell. This is Losers Bracket Round 2. Both of these robots lost their first match of the day, and one of these robots is going to go home early. Seth Schaefer running Division. It's the Deep 6-esque, really tall bar. And BX11B is the egg beater, the white egg beater, sitting over there in the blue corner.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Fight, robots, fight.
All right, Division up to speed. Looks like BX11B's just kind of waiting for that mini-bot to do what it's going to do before it comes in and tries to get hit. Nobody wants to go face first into Division's weapon, that's for sure. Division seems a little bit torqued, a little bit bent up on the frame there. But able to still drive and move, and there goes part of the side armor package on BX11B.
This is the best performance we've seen from Division in several matches. It is not flying through the air, it is staying planted to the floor, and it is intent on getting through those wheel guards and eating wheels on BX11B.
Yeah, eat those wheels right up. And there we go, Division flying across the box. You can hear the weapon motor turning off when it does that.
But Seth's weapon is still going. BX11B's weapon is down.
Yeah, absolutely. You can tell that Seth's really getting used to when to keep that weapon running full speed, when to turn it off. You know, strategically using that power to help you get around the box when you want it, and turning it off when you want to be able to come to a stop a little bit faster. One of the early design challenges that Seth had to deal with this bot was being able to get it to self-right.
Oh, big pop for Division.
And really, since he's mastered that, this bot has just been a truly, truly powerful competitor at the Norwalk events and others. BX11B does not look happy over there in the corner at all.
Not
it's
a lot
getting
of
its
motion.
one assist right there from Brett.
And you can see that egg beater twitching back and forth.
Yeah, so it's looking now like, yeah, that's what I thought was going to
That
happen. We
is
were
a
about to have a
tap out.
count out anyway, so that's a tap out. Division wins that fight
Wow.
very handily.
Good job, Seth. Fantastic.
So for this fight, my main strategy was to try and go weapon to weapon and make sure that my force could do their job. But I also wanted to make sure that this stupid little Antway got out of my way because I knew that if it was just going to high side me, he could easily get a shot at my wheels, which is the absolute worst place that I could possibly get hit. And I needed to do everything in my power to avoid that happening. You can see I got kind of close here. I was able to pivot around, so I was more or less facing him head on fast enough. I don't really know what was going on with BX11B's drive. It never seems like it's like super consistently working well, but I was able to capitalize and get some shots at the sides and the back a few times during this fight, and eventually I was able to line up the money shot, which I had really been hoping for, which was to take out the weapon pulley on BX11B and disable his weapon right about here. You'll see there, that shot bent the flange on his pulley, gets his belt to no longer be able to rotate around the pulley, and from here on out, it's just a matter of can I capitalize on it and disable his bot. As you can see, I'm having tons of problems driving around, even with just one fork. The other fork did somehow manage to get hit up hard enough that it broke through the TPU holding the little motion limiting screw. So that fork was stuck up, but it wasn't really impeding my drive at all. But the one fork that was still down, of course, was getting stuck in every tiny little rut and seam in the floor. So it was a little bit hard for me to drive around. Here you can see, for whatever reason, his weapon's just twitching, and the bot no longer moves. I don't really know what happened within BX11B. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get Steve for an interview after the fight, but I must have just jostled something loose internally, just like what happened to me in my first fight. So from here on out, it was just a matter of me attacking the Antweight until I heard that he had officially tapped out, and that was the entire fight. Nice win for Division. The forks did their job, and I was able to disable the weapon on one of the most common weapon types at the competition. I don't have a ton to say about the aftermath of the fight, other than I am happy to get the win, and I had 0 repairs to do on Division, so pretty much was just ready to throw my bot in for the next fight, which was against Professor Hexagons. Now this bot and I go way back. This was, I think, the 3rd competition that Division had ever been to. This was Division version 2.1, basically, fighting at the Franklin Institute event in Pennsylvania. And this was my 2nd and last fight at the competition. This is the only competition Division's ever gone 0-2 at. So I lost this fight pretty brutally, with both of the front wedges of my bot being ripped off. And at the time, those were aluminum wedges with a PETG backing 3D printed part. And here, my weapon hit the pulley and ripped my motor's shaft off. So I had no way of self-righting after that shot, which is super depressing. I have done my best to solve all of these different problems since then, and made lots of upgrades to my bot. But Professor Hex has had just as much time to make upgrades to their own bot.
2 bots loaded in. Let's see, we've got
8,
Division versus
7,
Professor
6,
Hex.
5, 4.
We saw some great performance from Division.
1.
Fight, robots, fight.
Wow!
Whoa, okay, Professor Hex said, yeah, don't come near me. I don't want you over here.
Wow, and Seth in Division just absolutely returned that. We have 2 robots going careening around inside of this box. Oh, big hit on the back of Professor Hex from Division.
Yeah, and the mobility issues on Professor Hex still plaguing the bot. Division, we might need to see a show motion bar up here right now. I'm not sure Professor Hex can move at all. Those wheels aren't doing anything. That battery's not doing anything. I got a countdown happening from the ref here.
Yeah, the ref is counting down.
And celebratory
That
dance.
is a knockout for Seth Schaefer and Division. Second win in a row for that robot. Fantastic. Now with Seth Schaefer, and Division, what you're looking for is absolute chaos in the box, and that's what you typically see. But here we saw absolute control in that match.
Yeah.
Just corralling his opponent into the corner.
Yeah.
Keeping it there.
Even when he went in for the attacks, it was very much so just a guided attack. It wasn't like full send in. It was like, okay, I need to show the judges I'm making contact, I'm doing damage, but I'm not going to fling myself away. It was really well done.
We're seeing sophistication, growing sophistication from Division, which is really, really great to see.
Seth is one of the best builders here. I mean, we absolutely love watching his YouTube channel, following along with his builds, following along with his work on Bloodsport, the heavyweight.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really good to have him around. He's an excellent resource for other builders, and he's really fun to watch in these fights and getting better every single
Once again,
turn.
greatly appreciate the praise from Luke and Kyle here. This fight went about as well as it could have gone, honestly. Other than that whiff at the start there, you can see from this camera angle better than from the stream angle that he did not hit me at all. I just kind of like hit the wall and then bounced off of that and the floor and threw myself back. But I was able to get back in here and return with a nice hit before Professor Hexagon's weapon was up to speed, and then boom with this nice weapon-to-weapon hit, which didn't do any damage to my bot. Was just kind of pirouetting here, get back on my wheels as fast as possible, and then I was expecting this to be a weapon-on-weapon hit because I thought he was going to turn and face me, but I went in full speed, full send, and absolutely wrecked the entire back of the bot. You can see from this camera angle what I could not see, which was that everything in the internals behind that Onyx printed part in the back of the bot basically got completely effed, and there was no coming back from that. So this fight honestly ended in 20 seconds flat. I lost my first fight against this bot so hard and had absolutely nothing to give them, and this time seeing almost the exact opposite happen was really rewarding. Plus, it's nice to see that the work I've put into Division over the last 2 years is starting to pay off. Here you can get a bit of a closer look at the damage that Professor Hex sustained. I unfortunately wasn't able to get a hold of the driver of the bot, but I got permission from one of the other Leatherback's team members to at least take a closer look at it. You can see the back was entirely split open. There's a saw cut there from a match against Samurai back in January. Most of the damage on the blade was probably from previous fights, but the entire top panel that's aluminum is like bent upwards in the middle because of Division. My next fight was another rematch, but this time an extremely recent one. This fight was against Sepiol, again, the same bot that I fought first in May. Sepiol is a modular bot with both vertical and horizontal spinner setups. It had looked much the same in almost every Norwalk tournament up until May, when it got a major overhaul to allow this mid-cutter horizontal configuration to fight vertical spinners. Prior to that, he always ran his vert setup against other verts, so I chose my new anti-beater bar config, and, well, the mid-cutter ripped my bot into pieces. I knew he was going to pick his mid-cutter again, and I was right, so I ran my wedge configuration to counter it this time. Now we can see what a properly armored Division could do against a pretty heavy-hitting horizontal.
On 2 Cage 2, we're back to live action. Sepiol versus Division, losers bracket, round 4. Fight, robots, fight! Ooh, big hit from Division.
Wow. So these two bots saw each other back in May. This is the second time they fought each other.
It looks like Sepiol one's, what is that on the left-hand side? Is that like a wheel cover? What is that, a wheel guard?
Yeah, that's a piece of one.
Yeah, it's been stripped off of the right side of that robot.
So you could just see exposed wheel there and no weapon. No weapon. No weapon on either of these bots right now, and it looks like the drive on the left side of Division is not too happy. All right, so we'll see how this goes. We're kind of down to a pushing match now. We've got a super chat from Shabahit117. Got to give a shout out to the judges. They've watched every event and had to deal with making some very tough decisions. Awesome job, Andrew, Jack, and Don.
Wow.
Thank you, Shaba. Normally,
we've got a fan of the judges.
Normally the judges get nothing but hate, so I appreciate the love.
Oh, well played, Shaba. All right. Now with Division, we see that Division's weapon is down, Sepiol's weapon is down. There are just bits and pieces of black plastic all over here, but can Division move?
Yeah, there's no movement. And that is a knockout.
Sepiol earns that knockout against Division. Wow.
Sepiol wins. Nice job, Sepiol. Very well done. Okay.
Losers bracket round 4. This is our last time seeing Division for the day. Hopefully we'll see Seth in September.
I added a timer here in the bottom right corner so you can appreciate just how much action takes place in the first 20 seconds of this fight and the ridiculous spin-up time I have on Division, under 2 seconds. So this was an absolutely brutal and energetic fight. It was a lot of fun, but unfortunately I didn't come out the winner this time either, and I easily could have if a few things had gone differently. First off, I lost drive on one side once again because of wires being pinched by the drive motor. That was on, I believe, the right side. On the left side, which is the one that was last to go, I only lost it towards the end because, just like I've had happen previously with one of these brushless gearboxes, I ordered gear sets for these gearboxes, which are a custom design that you can find for free on my web store, by the way. They basically have a pinion gear that's supposed to be a press fit onto the motor shaft, but the first set of gears sets that I ordered, the pinion press fits on. The second set that I ordered, they slip on, so I used solder to try and join them, and that solder joint would hold up for like a few fights and then just randomly break free, which unfortunately was what happened in this case. And you can see I lost my weapon belt here, sort of. That was because when my bot bounced off of Sepiol into the wall, that impact against the wall, which is by far a harder impact than against a 3-pound robot because the wall weighs a lot more than 3 pounds, managed to flex the weapon sideways into the weapon pulley, or jostled the weapon motor loose and allowed the weapon hit the weapon pulley, broke the flange off of the pulley, and that allowed the belt to come off. So basically entirely self-harm, causing my weapon to die. And I was actually able to push Sepiol around surprisingly well, even with only one side drive here, because, again, the other side had wires pinched. That, I guess it was the right side drive is the one that was still working here, actually, not left. But eventually the right side drive just randomly gives out when the pinion starts to slip because the solder joint broke loose, just from that tiny little bump after it had been working fine the whole rest of the fight. And that really sucks, but unfortunately there was no real way of knowing that that was going to happen after it had already worked for a full fight or two, and nothing I could really do to prevent it, other than now I've soldered that pinion back on using a special kind of flux that hopefully will bind it a little bit better.
So my strategy going into this fight was to put on my 1/4-inch blade and just try to go weapon on weapon and see how it goes. Try and get some big hits in. Hope to get a repeat of what happened last time we fought.
Didn't exactly go out that way this time with the wedge, though, fortunately for me. That was really, really rough fight. I don't know exactly what happened with my drive giving out on either side, honestly, but your weapon dying was like, oh, at least I have a chance now. Because this thing could easily have taken off my other wedge, and then I would have been in real trouble.
Yeah, I stopped spinning because one of the solder joints broke off the motor. So.
Oh, on the motor itself, that's new. Holy crap.
Yeah.
And then there's this big gouge right there. If I had just cut that belt, that would have done the same thing as killing the motor phase anyway. But not quite. But still, that was really tough. There's another huge gouge here.
Yeah.
The tire side here came off. I was like pretty close to getting that wheel a second time.
Yeah, a couple hits on it.
This one, there's some gouges, I think, a little bit.
I think that was from the front.
Might not be for me, but yeah. That was a really fun fight, though.
Yeah, great fight.
Alright, this is what Division looks like after the fight with Sepiol. That obviously looks a lot better than it did after the first one with Sepiol in March, or in May. You can see here he cut straight in, took out this wedge, ripped all of the screws right out of it because threading into TPU is bad. Even though that's what I'm doing on the bottom here and that held up. this drive side, it appears that a pinion on the gearbox is slipping now. It's probably one that I soldered on. It's a very similar issue to what I had against Doom in March. And this one I don't know what's wrong with yet, so I'll have to diagnose it. And then you can see on my weapon pulley, the flange on the right side came off. And that's what allowed my belt to come off. But also the motor came loose, so that's very bad. It looks like it stripped out the threads on the motor again, kind of like what happened against Eruption. So I'll probably have to either countersink these deeper and or like drill out and re-tap these holes for a larger thread screw, which shouldn't be too hard to do. The weapon itself actually held up surprisingly well to these massive horizontal hits though, and I'm pretty happy with that. And it doesn't look like it's bent in the slightest. This event may not have been quite as deep a run as I had hoped for, but once again, I keep getting tougher and tougher competition in the bracket, so it is what it is. Other than losing for stupid preventable things like wires pinching, Division held up really well. I had about 20 minutes of repairs after that first loss, and virtually nothing except a battery charge after the next 2 wins. The front forks setup proved to work really well against a beater bar, though I really want to try fighting a beater bar opponent that's a bit more mobile next time to really prove it. I've also got some ideas from you all about improving the TPU side forks. I might need a better way to mount the titanium wedge to my TPU front mounts too now on the horizontal config, though honestly the TPU part could probably take a number of hits on its own. All in all, I'm calling this a success, and Division might see another round of upgrades in the future. What's next? I'm going to Battlebots! You definitely won't see any more videos posted from Vegas, but I'll do my best to collect as much behind the scenes footage as I can, and I'll be sure to come up with something special when I return. That's all I have for you today. If you liked this video, click like. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe and click the bell icon to get notified about future videos. And as always, thanks for watching.